You know, I've bumped into so many women who are really kind of troubled that their husbands are not the spiritual leaders of the family or the spiritual leaders of their marriage. And they're thinking, you know, how can I get this guy to become a spiritual leader? I so desperately want him to be the spiritual leader. And here's something that I've observed, and actually I've talked to my husband about this. The thing is that most women, when there's a void in leadership in any area, when there's a vacuum of leadership, we surge in there and we take care of business. Like if he's not going to do it, then I guess I'll just have to do it. And that's fine, and I get why a woman would do that, because I've done that in the past. But when we don't let there be a little bit of an uncomfortable void or gap, that there's nothing for the man to fill, because you've already taken care of it. So you almost have to intentionally leave a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a void, a little emptiness in this area, so that he has room to move into this area of spiritual leadership. Do you see what I mean? So how do you gently do this? How do you gently pull yourself out and gently, boost him into that role? It could be just small little baby steps, like maybe you're not feeling very well. I mean, legitimately, you have a headache or whatever, and you just say, honey, I just don't feel well. Would you just lay your hand on my shoulder and just pray a really simple prayer for me? Because you don't want to, put him on the spot like he's got to pray this grandiose prayer, but could you just pray a simple prayer for me? Most husbands are not going to turn you down. It might be a simple prayer of 5 words, and that's okay. When he does pray for you, let him know that means the world to you, that you're so, so thankful. He's going to love hearing that from your lips. Maybe after dinner, if you'd like the family to read the Bible and you've always just been the one that did it, how about if you step back and say, honey, I love the sound of your voice when you read. Would you mind reading this? And maybe afterwards, if you like to discuss with your kids, what does this mean? What's God trying to teach us? Instead of you jumping in and being the teacher, what if you were to step back? Again, allowing there to be a little bit of a void or a gap, and say, honey, what do you think that means? Even though you might know, well, ask him and restrain yourself and ask his opinion. And when he gives it, don't be overly enthusiastic so it's really corny, but let him know that you really appreciate his thoughts and his insights, and you know what? He's going to love hearing that. And slowly, he may begin to become the spiritual leader. There's a reason that God had to say so many times to wives in the Bible this instruction: submit to your husband. Be submissive to your husband. One of the times is in Titus 2:5, where he tells women to be submissive to their husbands. There's a reason he had to say that so often, because women naturally tend to want to be the leader. So if you're the one moaning about the fact that your husband is not a leader, maybe what you need to do is practice being submissive, pulling back, allowing there to be a little bit of a gap, and then if he starts to take baby steps toward filling that gap, be his biggest cheerleader.